إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Okay, you guys just finished taking your quiz, walhamdulillah, and I'm explaining to you that some things about the course that you're going to have to understand this course. This course is an introduction to Arabic languages, and it's the complete Arabic class, meaning we will not, and they said, we will not underturn every stone and rock and pebble with regards to the steps that you have to take to become a master in the Arabic language. And I mean that, a master. The first step is to master the letters. That's the first step. And in doing that, I have composed a 15 to 18 class, lesson class to get you to that stage. And I was just reminding you all that this is the non-glamorous part of studying and being a talibul ilm. Okay? The day-to-day, having to do the work, taking the quizzes, having to be ready, and regurgitating, and writing. There was a famous sheikh, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. Once you get to the sciences of hadith, you'll hear his name over and over and over again. In fact, from here on, you'll start hearing it more and more and learn more and more about his stories. Anyway, he's a famous sheikh and a scholar of hadith. And he wrote about, in every subject in hadith, he wrote a particular book about that subject. Not a chapter, he wrote a book about every subject in hadith sciences. And one of the things he wrote in one of his introductions, he's basically telling off all the so-called students of knowledge. And he says, بِقِلَّةِ قِرَاءَتِهِمْ, how little they have read and how little they have written. And they think that they are scholars, or they think that they are better than certain students. And they haven't even gotten there yet. They haven't even done anything yet. But they think because they wrote a hadith 20 times, or they've been in class for a year, doesn't mean anything. Time doesn't give you any benefit. Someone could learn something in one day and know more about that thing than someone else. Tawfiq comes from Allah. Okay? However, the work that you have to do is the work that you have to do. Okay? So don't think, in this course you're going to do a lot of writing. And if you don't, you will not master the letters. Okay? Period. And I don't care how much you've mastered it before. You have to go through the process. You could be a black belt, but you go into any school, you got to go through their process to prove it. Okay? Likewise here, you got to go through the process to prove it. And this is what we're going to do. I would like, I'm going to remember this. Write down for me, please, Hawaza and Kaliman. And put Ahmed and put Aliyah. Okay? Aliyah. Over both of them. Okay? Hawaza and Kaliman. Or better yet, you don't have to write anything. She'll remind me at the end of the class. And also, I'll be reminded. Kalman. Moving right ahead. Today, what I would like you to do, okay, you guys wrote already the abjadiyya, right? Everybody wrote the abjadiyya. That was the traditional way of learning the alphabet, was learning it what? Let's hear it. Do it again. You have to know it. You can't be familiar with it. There's a certain thing being familiar with something, and there's another thing knowing it. Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya Kaliman, Sa'fas, Qurishat, Thakhid, Dadid. You have to know it just like you know the American ABCs. It has to be ingrained in your head. Abjad, Hawaz, Huttiya Kaliman. Shukran. Sa'fas, Qurishat, Thakhid, Dadid. Again, hint. Abjad, Hawaz, حط حطي كلمان سعفاس قرشات ثخذ ثخذ again louder أبجد هواز حطي كلمان سعفاس قرشات ثخذ ضضغ. If you're not going to take these papers and save them, give them back to the imam so we don't waste paper. That's all I say, you know. But if you're going to, no, go ahead and look at it. I'm not trying to prevent you from getting it, but I'm just saying that not to waste the ni'amillah, okay? Anyway, after the abjadiyya, we have to learn the modern way of learning the alphabet. And maybe you've heard some of this before, and it'll be a good review for you. The first thing we're going to do is the modern way. In the modern way, it's not done abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, purishat, thakhid, dadig. Rather, it is done alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jimun, ha'un, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ayn, ayn, ghayn, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, noon, ha, wa, ya. Ha, wa, ya. That's how it goes in the modern way. You have to know both. The reason why, since somebody was asking, everybody wants to know, why do I have to know both? If I know the traditional way, why am I not free from knowing the modern way? No. You need both. When you look up words in a dictionary, in any qamus or dictionary, you will only find them in the order that the modern dictionary is written. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha'un, jimun, ha'un, kha. The Handswear Dictionary, the Lane's Lexicon, Qamus al-Muhit, Qamus al-Mujani, all these books are written in the Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, in that order. And even when you find a word, it's in that order. However, when you write your essays and you write reports and you read books from the ulama, they make their outline in the abjad format. Their points are made alifun, ba'un, jimun, dal, ha, wa, za, that way. So you need them both. When you find in old poetry a date twice ghain and zay, it's 2007. Because ghain is 1,000, equals 1,000. So you need to know the olden way also. So you need to know both. This is how we're going to learn them. Everybody say alif, ba, ta. Okay, in English, we have a word called alphabet, right? Now, alphabet comes from the Greco-Roman pronunciation of what? Two words. What is it? Alpha, beta. Alpha, beta, what does that sound like? Alif, ba, ta. Alif, ba, ta is the origin of alpha, beta. What we learn from the Greek and Roman history is that the Greeks traveled to a certain people, learned how to read and write, and then came back and transposed that into the Roman and the Greek language, the Greco-Roman language. Writing system, I mean by that. We can tell by their alphabet where they got it from. Because their alphabet, alpha, beta, what's the next one? And who knows Greek or Latin? What's the next one? Gamma. What's the, okay, alpha, beta, gamma. Delta. What does that sound like? Abjad. Abjad. So we know right off the bat where they got this format from. They took it from the Muslims. They took it from the Abjad series that was already in place. What's important to us today is that when you say alpha, beta, you won't forget that. You can remember by saying alphabet, and by doing that, you remember the first three letters in the modern way, which is alif, ba, ta. So everybody say alpha, beta. Alpha, beta. Alphabet. Alphabet. Alif, ba, ta. Alif, ba, ta. Another way to remember it, alif is the first, right? Ba is one ball on the bottom. Ta is what? Two on the top. And what's the next one? How many does that have? So what sound does 3 make? Tha. So this letter is what? Can you forget that? There's no way you can forget it. If you remember, alif, ba, ball on the bottom. You say ball on the bottom. Ball on the bottom. Ball on the bottom. That's what sound does ball make? Ba. What sound does bottom make? Ba. So 2 on the top. What sound does 2 make? Ta. And what sound does ta make? Ta. I mean top. Sorry. And then tha is thalatha, or 3. So alif, ba, ta, tha. The next one, I want to go do this kind of unorthodox. What's the last state to enter in the Union? United States history, American history. What's the last state? Hawaii. Let's go here. Hawaii. Okay? Hawaii. Who named this state? This was a country, mustaqillah. And it was called Juzul Hawa. It was called the Breeze Islands. Okay? Juzul Hawa. What does that sound like? Ha, wa, yeah. These are also, since this is the last state to enter into the Union, these are the last 3 letters in the Arabic alphabet. Ha, wa, yeah. Everybody say that. Ha, wa, yeah. You can't forget it. Hawaii. Ha, wa, yeah. Ha, wa, yeah. So we got the first 3, alif, ba, ta, and we have the last 3, ha, wa, yeah. We have the third thalatha from 3, right? Ta. Now, the next thing I'm going to give you is the hardest part. Jimun, ha, kha. This is the hardest part to learn in the alphabet, and everything else is easy. Alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha. Everybody say jim, ha, kha. Say ha. Now say ha, wa, yeah. You see that ha? The ha at the end comes from your stomach. Say heavy. Say hurt. Say hurdle. Okay, that's coming from the bottom of your stomach. The bottom of your throat, actually. You feel it in your stomach. That's ha. Now say hot. Happy. Jalapeno. That's this ha. It's in your mouth. Ha. It's at the back of your throat, actually. Okay? So say ha. Jim, ha, kha. If you grew up and you were a teenager in the late 70s and the early 80s, you watched karate flicks. And if you're not, you got DVDs in the 90s and the 2000s, you know. What does the guy say? He goes, ha, right? He goes, when he does his martial arts, he makes that ha sound, right? He gets beat up, he goes back, he gets his chi up, and he goes, ha. That's the sound that you make when you make ha. Everybody say, ha. Say, ha. And you should feel air being pushed out. Ha. Now hold it. Once you let it out, you have to freeze it. Ha. Like ha. Get it? Ha. That's how it comes. Different from ha. Say healthy. Say ho, ho, ho. That's the other ha. It's not as hard as this one, right? Now, the reason why I say this is the hardest construction to learn because of the diacritical mark. What is a diacritical mark?
A dot that's placed on a
Not just a dot. It's a mark. It's a diacritical mark. It's not restricted to being a dot because we may not write this like this. We may write it like that. Let me do this again. I can go like that, and that means tha. That mark right there is different from me when I write like this and make that a yeah. That represents 2 dots. That represents 3 dots. Or if I go like this, and that's a qaf, that represents 2 dots. So it's a mark. A diacritical mark has been defined as any marking made upon similar letters. Otherwise, they are you can't determine between the two. You can't discriminate between two or more letters. So you put a diacritical mark to distinguish one from the other. In Arabic, there are only three, these are the only three letters that are exactly alike and need diacritical marks to distinguish between three of them. Otherwise, it'll only be in pairs. It'll only be in what? Pairs. So once you know alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, I shouldn't say that. I got an example here. There's three. Here goes three right here. I stand corrected. These three look exactly alike too. But here, so we have two sets. This is the second set. Jim, ha, kha. Say it.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
When I first learned Arabic, I said, well, why isn't it ha, jim, kha? That would make sense to me, right? Because the ha doesn't have any, then the one has on the bottom, then you go to the top. I thought that would have been wiser. Well, Allahu Akbar, he knows better and I don't. So it's jim. You just have to make the mental note to know that the jim comes first and not the ha. Jim is on the bottom, ball on the bottom, okay? Ha, kha. Jim, ha, kha. That is about it. Everything else that we're going to do here today is in what? Pairs. Everything else is in pairs. So I'm going to erase the board, and we're going to go through this very easily. While I'm erasing the board, recite to me the alphabet. No. The modern. Thank you. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jim, ha, kha. Dal, dal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, nun, ha, wa, ya. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jim, ha. Dal, dal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, nun. Fa, qaf, kaf. Listen, there's something else I want to show you guys, and I almost forgot. There's another construction that you should easily be able to learn. In English, we have K-L-M-N. Everybody say that. K-L-M-N. 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 Everybody say that. K-L-M-N. Right. In Arabic, we have the same thing. We have kaf. Say kaf. Lam. Mim. Noon. Say kaf, lam, mim, noon. Like kaf, lam, mim, noon. K-L-M-N. Kaf, lam, mim, noon.
Kaf, lam, mim, noon.
Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Dal, dal, ra, zay.
Dal, zal, ra, zay.
Sin, shin, sad, dad.
Sin, shin, sad, dad.
Ta, dha, ain, ghain.
Ta, dha, ain, ghain.
Fa, qaf, kaf.
Fa, qaf, kaf.
Lam, mim, noon.
Lam, mim, noon.
Ha, wa, ya.
Ha, wa, ya.
So if you can get to kaf, lam, mim, noon, which you already know that construction, you go right to Hawaii. So it's very easy to learn this. The first part is alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jim, ha, kha. Dal, dal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain. Now it stops. Fa, qaf, kaf. Lam, mim, noon, hawa, ya. Real easy. Once we're going to get to the doubles. But right there, we can fa, qaf, kaf. What is it? Kaf, lam, mim, noon. Lam, mim, noon, alaman. Ha, wa, ya. So learning the traditional, the modern way is not difficult. Learning the traditional way is super easy. أبجد هوز حطي كلمان سعفس قرشت ثخذ ضضيق. Or you can say ثخذ ضضيق, but it's ثخذ ضضيق. Either way. But the point here is that you have to master it. And the only way you're going to master it is if you open your mouths and you say it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And it doesn't take that much time to do that. Make a rhythm. Keep it. You know, the one that I like is alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. That works for me. I've heard other people make other rhythms that were really good, but I can't remember them. Okay? So there's nothing standardized in this regard like they have for, what's the song they use? They Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They use in American folklore, they use this song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. And that's the tune used for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know? So, but in Arabic, learning the Arabic alphabet, to English speakers or non-Arab speakers, there was nothing formulated in that regard as a particularized tune to learn. Everybody had to learn it on their own. So if someone came with a beautiful tune, I don't think mine is a beautiful tune, but you know, if someone did, that would not be something that is not desired. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing innovative in that regard, meaning when I say innovative here, as a bid'ah in religion, in worship, that's something that would be beneficial and allowed. Okay? Just to quote, because a lot of people think, you know, bid'ah, when someone says bid'ah, they mean in worship. This is what we're talking about. Bid'ah is in worship. Okay? But coming up with something to benefit the people outside of the acts of worship is allowed. Okay? So, like pants and cars and TVs and stuff like that. Anyway, alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zay. Sin, sheen. Sad, dad. Ta, dha. Ain, ghain. Fa, qaf, kaf. Lam, mim, nun. Ha, wa, ya. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Jim, ha, kha. No, it's not ha. It's ha. You have to pay attention. Ha. 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 Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dal, ra, zay. No, stop. There will not be any zal. It's thal. If you can say the, you can say thal. So everybody say the man. You don't say the man. You say the man. It's the same exact sound. Say these, those, them, and that. It's the exact same sound. The problem is people don't recognize that majority of the sounds that we have in the Arabic language are sounds that we have in the English language. Why? Lughatul Dad. Everybody says, oh, Arabic is Lughatul Dad, the language of Dad. Dad does not exist outside of the Arabs. That's not true anymore. Language has transcended the Arab peoples, and people have picked up from them those same tonations and pronunciations. We have the word dummy in Arabic, in English I should say, and it's a direct pull from the Arabic word dad. That's why those words are spelled D-U, but they pronounce da. So that's the same sound. Sad, it is a sound in English language. When you say the word saw or Susan, you make that same exact enunciation and pronunciation. The point is that most people don't know English language well enough or the Arabic language well enough to bring the correlation and to show where these sounds are exactly the same. Okay? So you don't have to become over-affected and try to do like that. No, you don't have to do that. But we'll pull from sounds that we already know and build upon platforms that we already walk upon and master the Arabic pronunciation. Because mastering the Arabic pronunciation is vital for the rest of your life as a talibul ilm. Regardless if you want to be a student of hadith, or if you want to be a student of Quran, or you want to be a student of fiqh or usul, whatever you want to do, you're going to need that Arabic language. You're going to need it, and if you don't know how to pronounce it, if you don't know how to enunciate it, no one's going to listen to you. No one's going to understand what you're talking about. If lam yusidhu husnul bayan, if he's not helped with a beautiful speak. So, we're going to stop this zal and say thal. How is thal pronounced? This is the purpose of this class today is not really to teach you the pronunciations. That's going to be the focus of the next 8 lessons. However, this lesson, the purpose of this lesson is to familiarize you with the order from memorization. Because children, before they learn how to read, they learn how to hear. And we have to follow the same routes. I keep looking to the imam for confirmation, because if I say something wrong, he's going to give me the eye. You know, so I just keep looking over there for that purpose. Because we have to go through the same processes that children go through. However, it may not take us as long because we're adults and we know what we're going for. Whereas a child is just going along naturally. You know, sometimes they even refuse training. Whereas we want this. So if we want this, we have to go through the same process. It may take less time, but we still have to go through the process. So the first process that you went through was learning it the traditional way. Let me hear the abjadiyya. Hesitation kills, guys. Wake up. Let me hear the abjadiyya.
Abjad, hawaz, khuttiya, kalimat, sa'afat, qurishat, thaqib.
Two mistakes here. When you say qurishat, it breaks. You ever take a Ritz cracker? You know, I'm doing a plug for Ritz crackers now. When you crack the Ritz cracker, what's that sound? It goes t. Say qurishat. That's what I want to hear every time. Train yourself to make that whisper on ta. You'll find it when you get to tajweed. You don't say qalat, you say qalat. It whispers. And if you do that, that'll beautify your tajweed. Now you don't, again, over-affect, say qalat, but you let it whisper. Let the sound out. So here you practice that by saying qurishat. Don't eat, I know we're in New York. We eat fried chicken and talk with broken English, right? Speak broken English and eat, I forget how it goes. You know, but there was an old rap that said, we speak broken English and eat fried chicken in New York, and it's true. We don't say the end of the words. Astaghfirullah, I shouldn't say We don't pronounce the end of the words. However, you're in class, you have to. There's a time for this, sa'atan fasad. There's a time for this and there's a time for that. It's okay to talk, you know, like a New Yorker or for a Southerner or any type of colloquial speech, slang I'm referring to here. However, there's a time for that. You need to be able to transcend and talk like what they call standard American English also. Here we're talking standard Arabic. So leave the broken English when you're speaking to people you want to talk to like that. And like I said, like that, you know, instead of like that, you know. And when you come to talk Arabic, speak fluent Arabic. Okay? So let's do this again. Abjad. Hawaz. Hu. That's the second mistake you guys make. Huttiya. That ha has to come hard. Huttiya. That was a mistake on my part. Huttiya. Kaliman. Sa'fas. Qurishat. Thaqib. Dadig. Dadig. You hear that? Line? Dadig. You think it's not in English? Say the word got. That's coming from that lane. Let's see that G-O-T in got. How do you get that sound out? That's that isti'la. That's that itbaq in your mouth. Okay? Same rules. You just, in English, they don't teach you what you're doing. You just do it and find a way to get it done. In Arabic, it just clarifies what it is. That's a gain right there. Okay? So, that's the traditional way. In the modern way, alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Okay, say tha. Tha. Like I said, this wasn't the purpose to always teach you this right here. We'll go over it in much more detail later on. Tha, stick your tongue out your mouth. Tha. It's called a teeth and tongue letter. Tha. Tha. And it's soft. Tha. And your top teeth fall on top of it. Tha. And you press the bottom of your tongue on the bottom of that wet lip. Tha. Tha. I can't hear you. Tha. Tha. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Your mouth says kha. You make it round. Kha. 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 Ha. Ha. If you're going to sit there, you have to open your mouth. Ha. Kha. Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Dal, dhal.
Dal,
Dhal.
dal.
Dhal. You cannot be lazy-tongued in Arabic. You stick your tongue out. Dhal. 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 Your teeth, they bite down on that tongue as it sticks out. They bite it, they hold it in a gentle but firm way. Dhal. It then vibrates. Dhal. Hind uskuti anti wantabihi. Dhal. Dhal. Dal. Dhal. Rosé. Rosé. Sin sheen. Saddad. Dad. 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 Sin sheen saddad. I put them like this so that you can get them together. Learn them in this way. Don't separate them, because right now we're doing it for memorization. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
No, jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
More, ha. I want you to, ha. Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Now you can go off a little bit. Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Kha. Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Jim, ha, kha.
Ha, kha.
Ha, kha.
Dal, dhal, ra, zay.
Dal, ra, zay.
Sin, sheen, saddad.
Sin, sheen, saddad.
Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn.
Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn.
Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn.
Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn.
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 It's not gay. It's gha. Ghayn.
Ghayn.
See, the gha doesn't go gay. It goes gha. So if there's a yap with it, it's going to go ghayn. Gha, not gha, ghayn. Ghayn. Ta, dha. Ayn, ghayn. It's not ghayril, it's ghayril. When you say, because a lot of people say ghayril, it's ghayril. So it's ghayn. 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 Because it's still gha. Okay? It doesn't go ga. It goes gha, right? So it's not going to go gay because of the ya there. It still goes gha. That's still its normal pronunciation. You understand? Unless you have an imla down there, which is a little round black dot you find under certain letters. That's why we say qa, manit taqa, as opposed to manit taqa. So you change the pronunciation, that to the ya. Here you don't have that. So it's going to be a gha. Okay? Always gha. So Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn. Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn. Fa, qaf, kaf. Say coffee. Like we say coffee, right? And then we say cat. Cat. So you have cough, cat. You see? So don't get the two sounds mixed up. Qaw is really qaw, qaw. Cough, calf. 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 Cough. Cough. It pops in the back of your mouth. Cough. 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 Fa, qaf, calf. Fa, qaf, calf. I always say the calf, it should be up in the top of your mouth closer to the front. And the qaf is in the back. Near that thing people think is called the uvula, and it's not called the tonsils, but people think that's their tonsils in the back. That's where the qaf is. Say qaf. And that air and that water meets right there and busts a balloon. Say qaf. Say iqqa. Iqqa. Okay, now say calf. Calf. The tongue raises up to the front of the mouth. It bends up. And it touches. Suction takes place. And as you pull it away, you make the ick sound. Okay? The calf sound comes from the pulling away from the upper part of your mouth. So I want you to say qaf, calf. Upper part of your mouth, closer to the exit, up in the front, at an angle out. Qaf, calf. Qaf, calf. Does that make sense? Fa, qaf, calf. Lam, mim, noon. Hold it together. Lam, mim, noon. Ha, wa, ya. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zay. No. Dal, dhal. No, you cannot be lazy. وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةُ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. Okay? There's nothing between a man doing it and not doing it except a man exercising or practicing with his jaw. You can't say, I'm African, I'm Guyanese, I'm Indo-Pak, I'm black, I'm anything. Arabic is such a beautiful and blessed language that it's for everyone. The only language in the world that's for everyone. So only thing you have to do is practice. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zay. Sin, shin, sad, dad. Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn. Fa, qaf, kaf. Lam, mim, noon. Ha, wa, ya. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha. Jim, ha, kha. No. Jim, ha, kha. No. Jim, ha, kha. Jim, ha, kha. You guys gotta, maybe you guys need to stand up. Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zay. Sin, shin, sad, dad. Ta, dha, ayn, ghayn. Fa, qaf, kaf. Lam, mim, noon. Ha, wa, ya. So, for homework, what you'll have to do, you have to just memorize this. You have to memorize the recitation of it. I don't care if you at this stage don't know how any one of the letters look like. It's not important at this stage. Understand that walking and learning is step-by-step process, right? You have to know what you're saying, though, in the both forms that we're learning them. So, abjad is abjad. Hawaz, huttiya kaliman, sa'fas, urishat, thakhid, dadik. Develop that. Then we're learning alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ayn, ghayn, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, noon, ha, wa, ya. And once we have that, the next lessons that we do will take you through letter by letter. Letter by letter. We introduce the alphabet following this format. This is the first letter. We will teach you everything you need to know about this letter. Everything from a hindsight position. Okay? But you have to be ready. That's why I gave you that handout that you have. If you look at your handout, it says on it, I got mine. Sifat with opposites. What does the word sifat mean? Sifat. This is an Arabic word. What is it? Descriptions. It describes something. Sifa. Right? Asma'ullah. What? Sifatu. Right? The names of Allah and His descriptions. The way that He is Rahman or Rahim. Rahman is His name. Rahim is His description of Allah. Right? Right? Ghafurur Rahim. Okay? Attribute. And something attributed to something or someone. There's something that is a description of Him. You attribute to Him, attribute is just a bigger word for description. Okay? In English, when we get to English terminology, when referring to Arabic terms, you're not stuck to the English translation of that word. Okay? It's not the same thing as the Arabic word, where we're stuck with that word. This is the word that ulama have used. We use that word. However, in defining that is left open to those experts in that language, how they understand it and can best describe that Arabic original. Okay, so some people are so stuck on I'm not gonna say I'm stupid, but they get stuck on the chain. And there was a thing they taught us in school that you have to focus, but you can't focus too much. Meaning the man was chopping the wood and he was focusing on getting a good strike so he could chop the wood, that he forgot what his purpose of getting a good strike was, and he chopped the wood and chopped his leg. This is getting too wrapped up around the axle. You focus for the purpose of completing the objective. Okay? Sifat is an attribute. But most people, when they hear that word attribute, if they're American, they hear an English word, but they don't understand what that word means. Right? You ever see that show, Am I Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? So if you ask most people what an attribute is, they'll give you 15, 20 different answers, but most of them have never looked it up to know what it means. But if you say description, they understand that. So we seek to use, Umar ibn Khattab used to not like people, poets particularly, who used to use big words that people were not familiar with. And he used to like the ones who could use words that, easy on the mind. Okay, but yet still fulfill the objective. After saying that, sifat, according to me, is a description. Description of something. In such a way, and I think it's very wide, and it's because these sifat here that we're dealing with are not sifatullah. These are the sifat attributed to or given to each letter. Okay? So there are two types of sifat. How many types of sifat are there? There are two types of sifat. There are sifat with opposites. Okay? And there are sifat without opposites. Okay? This is important to you to know after memorizing this order. Abjad, hawaz, huttiya, kaliman, sa'fas, qurishat, thakhid. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, za, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ayn, ghayn, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, noon, ha, wa, ya. After that, know there are sifat for every one of these letters. Some sifat have opposites, some do not have opposites. This is what you need to know. You will go home, you will study this. Your next class, we will do two things. We will explain to you what is hams, what is jahrun, what is shidda, what is rikhwa and tawassut, and isti'lal and istifal and itbaq wal fat wa dhalaqa and safirun wal qalqala wal leen ila akhiriyah, to the end of it, so that we use these terminologies and understand what they mean as we use them. And then as we go through the letter, we describe exactly how these sifat are taken into play in pronouncing these letters. The second thing that this does is it gives us time to focus on this letter. This letter is written 3 ways. Every letter is going to be written what? 3 ways, at least. When you get to ha, it's written 5 ways. Okay? But if we take our time and deal with these letters, we learn the sifat. We not only learn the sifat, we learn exactly how to pronounce the letters, and then we can move on. Okay? We move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. There's a classical text that we've been using. It's called قول معروف في صفات الحروف. That's one thing. We'll be using the other text, master letters, as a modern text to go through that. We'll be doing them, let me see my schedule looks like. We'll be doing them, abjad, it will be done in 1 day, so you will get the whole text before, so that you'll be prepared when you come to class. You'll have the whole abjad. You'll be told at home to review it, memorize it, come to class, be ready to work. Okay? Be ready to write and work. So, the next thing, next class also, we'll be doing this. You'll be learning how to write these letters. Can someone pass me something to erase this board? I'm giving you an example of what I mean right here. I got something. Here, pass me. I got something. Because you have to, before you can move on, you have to master writing and reading these letters. Okay? It cannot come second, it cannot be hesitation. Hesitation? Right, hesitation kills. So you cannot be hesitating, what letter is that, what is that, and why. So we'll take the time as we go through this, your homework will reflect what to do. Also, we'll show you. For example, alif, this is alif. We'll say this is a 1-stroke letter. The first stroke goes down in an angle. If you're on a paper, it takes up the whole line. Do you understand that? So we'll go through ba. Ba is 2 strokes. It starts here and comes down on the line, and then the second stroke is the dot. Okay? If it's on the line, it should go to the middle. It should be on the line. It shouldn't be the same size. We're just showing you in context of what it's supposed to look like. And then you go home and you get to practice that. That's when you're writing it by itself. Other drills you'll be doing is you'll have to write the whole alphabet out without raising your pen. Alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, nun, ha, wa, ya. And then you go back and you say alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, dha, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim. And you start practicing. You get your handwriting down. These are things we're going to do. What else am I going to write on the board here? The other thing is your beginning vocabulary. The first letter is what? Alif, right? Alif. This is a word. A is a word. Say a. What does a mean? No. A is a question. You see the question mark there? So a is a question. Don't y'all hear alam tara? Alam tara? Didn't you see? Many times in the Quran. The a is the thing that makes it a question. Okay? So you learn a word. The next word that you learn will not have any letters except the letters that preceded it. So the only other word we can probably come with would be bab. Right? Because now we're introducing ba. The first letter is alif, the second letter is ba. So we have a ba, alif, ba. Babun. What is a babun? A door. Or we can say abun, father. Or we say aban, abba, fakihatin wa abba. And all these are in the Quran. The next letter is tha, right? Alif ba and ta. Ta. We say tabbat. Tabbat or tab. This word has two letters we already know, right? The ta is the new letter. The ba is the letter we already learned. And we'll go through the whole alphabet. Only bringing words from the Quran. And if we can't, we'll bring from a hadith. And only bringing letters that you've already learned. Okay? In this way, your beginning vocabulary of 28 letters, 28 words, will all be from the Quran, except for where I think there's like 2 cases that we have to bring something from a hadith. You know? I can't remember off the top of my head. And they'll only be in the order that you learned this letter, so we're only losing letters that you know. This helps make it easy for you to establish these letters and the writing style in your head. Does that make sense? But you have to do the writing. I will present you these writings, for you to do, but you have to do the work. It's the only way it's going to do anything but maybe impress you or keep your attention span, entertain you during the time frame that you come here. But after you leave out of here, you're going to have to write 100 times. You're going to have to write 500 times. You're going to have to do that work so that at the end of 15 classes, 18 classes, if it goes to that long length, you are a master of this subject, the letters. Does that make sense? All right. Do I have any questions at this time? If I have no questions, أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم.